Hello everyone, welcome to another Power Gaming video. In this video we're talking all about the Hunter, more specifically the subclass builds that I prefer to use for the Hunter. Now in this video we're going to talk about the different setups that I use, the different ways that you can configure these classes, as well as the exotics that I pair them with and why. It is worth noting that in this video we will only be talking about PvE builds, no Crucible here, so when you ask down in the comments, why don't you do a Crucible video? Because you guys keep asking me, I do not play Crucible. I don't like it. That's me. Sorry, I'm not a Crucible channel. But moving on, another thing that I will go ahead and clear up so you guys don't have to ask me in the comments, I'm wearing full Spectar gear. You get this from the treasure boxes that you get from tests or from completing the things. This is the weapons that I use, Black Spindle, Herald Quillums, and DIS-47 with full auto, very fun. And the shader that I have on is Ascendant Plane that you get from completing Heroic Strikes, or the Heroic King's Fall Raid, and getting a full set of King's Fall armor. So, that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the subclasses. We'll start with Nightstalker, then Bladedancer, then Gunslinger. If you would like to skip ahead to one of these two, check the description on this video, and I will have these start times so you can skip ahead as you so please. So beginning with Nightstalker, there is only one exotic piece of armor that is specifically made for Nightstalker, and that is Graviton Forfeit, which grants Shade Step. So keeping that in mind, if you're going to use that exotic, then you will put on Keen Scout. I personally don't use that exotic. I'd rather just select Shade Step. I don't care much for Keen Scout. A lot of people seem to like it though. I will throw this on if I'm patrolling the Dreadnought, just so I can find the chest and everything a little bit easier. But I'm not really too concerned with Keen Scout, because all I have to do is throw on my Steel Piercer, and that will give me essentially Keen Scout, so it's really nice. But if you do have Graviton Forfeit and you do like using it, then go ahead and throw on Keen Scout. There's no reason in wasting it. Your other option, Predator, a lot of people use this. I actually don't. I don't like it. It seems good in theory, and I'm sure in certain situations it does shine above, using one of these two. But for me, I'm just not into it. Moving on, well, we don't care about all this stuff. So moving on to the next perks that matter, you have Courage of the Pack, which gives a little bit of agility and recovery to your allies when you do, recovery and armor to your allies when you kill enemies that are tethered. This one's pretty good to have if it's something like exposure or something like that. But this one is my go-to, Light of the Pack. Killing enemy targets, or killing tethered enemy targets, creates orbs for your allies. When I think of Nightstalker, I think of Orbgasm. Alright, I build my Nightstalker subclass to give as many orbs to my teammates as humanly possible, and this is how you do it. You put on Light of the Pack. When we go into the raids and stuff like that, there's always at least one hunter in my raid group, usually two actually, that have Light of the Pack to give orbs to everybody else. That way we always have supers. It's really convenient. If you're not doing something like a raid or a nightfall where orbs are just, they have to be there, also Challenge of Elders, great for that, because orbs equal points. If we're not doing something like that, then I'll switch it over to Lockdown. Grenades and smoke effects last twice as long. So these are really good to have. I do like to use the invisibility grenade for this. So being able to be invisible twice as long definitely comes in handy. So this is going to be like my patrol perk, my regular strike perk, my heroic strike perks. This is going to be my end game activities such as Challenge of Elders, Nightfalls, and Raids. So that's how I run these two. I very rarely ever put this one on, like I said, unless it's exposure, then I will throw that on. So moving over to the melee, like I said, I prefer Vanish and Smoke. This can get you out of a tight jam. This is really good in the raid. This is really good in Nightfalls when you have to revive somebody. If you're the last Guardian standing, this is my go-to. I typically don't change this at all. There are some other good options here, like this one right here. Add a Toxin. It kind of slows down your enemies a little bit, but I prefer Vanish and Smoke. Snare is also pretty good. You can kind of use this as like a trip mine, but again, I feel like invisibility is the way to go. As far as the super itself, Shadow Shot, you have a lot of options. Bloodbound is one that a lot of people use, but the thing about Bloodbound is you have to sacrifice Black Hole. Void Anchor has increased range, lasts significantly longer, and can tether more enemies. Now, in terms of how many orbs you're going to generate, how effective your tether is going to be, Black Hole is without a doubt the way to go. Some may argue that Quiver, being able to fire 3, is going to be the better option, and in certain cases it may be. But if you can just fire one shot into a large group of enemies and tether them all, then why not do it? Another cool thing about Black Hole is, let's say that you shoot it into a large group of enemies and you tether as many as you can, but there's still a few stragglers that are not tethered, but they're standing nearby. As you kill the ones that are tethered, since Black Hole lasts longer, there's a good chance that you're going to grab those other enemies that couldn't initially get tethered, if that makes sense. So for me, Black Hole is definitely the way to go. As far as jump, I like my triple jump for the hunters, and then I like to put on Bones of EAO and get that quad jump. It is super fun. Next, we have Vortex Grenade. These are really crappy grenades, man. Spike Grenade is pretty good for bosses if you can get it right at their feet and they're just going to stand in it. Void Wall Grenade, I personally think that this is one of the most useless grenades in this entire game. And Vortex Grenade is the one that I use. Vortex Grenade, you can throw it at a door as the enemies are coming out and do pretty good damage to them. So that is my Void Walker build. That is what I go with. Since Void Walker only has one exotic made specifically for Void Walker, I'm going to show you the ones that I actually use on a regular basis. I usually use Khepri Sting. You can use this with any subclass. I like to use this with my Nightstalker specifically because I can crouch and go invisible. Another one that I use quite a bit is Don't Touch Me. Don't Touch Me, anytime an enemy melees you, then you go invisible. If you're around a bunch of Hive Thrall, you can pretty much stay invisible the entire time. There's no cooldown on the reset for this. So every single time you get meleeed, you're going invisible. That's usually what I pair this with. Another option would be something like Crest of Alpha Lupi, and of course, the amazing Bones of EAO. So that is my Nightstalker build. We will move on to Bladedancer. Now, Bladedancer, prior to the release of the Taken King and the introduction of Nightstalker, was my go-to class. Now, this is my go-to. I love my Nightstalker class. Bladedancer used to be my number one. Now, for Bladedancer, there's two ways that you can set this up. You can set it up for a good super and to do a lot of damage for the enemies, or you can set it up to be invisible all the fucking time. Now, either way that you set it up, let's take a look at the exotics that pair with it. In my opinion, the best one is the ATS-8 Tarantella. Reduced arc damage for minions of the darkness, arc grenades, and arc blade recharge faster. Now, I did a video, and I will link it to this. I'll put it on that little eye symbol up in the corner on the cards so that you can go watch it if you want, but this actually gives you a pretty significant reduction on your super cooldown time. I think it was something like 45 seconds is what it takes off of it, close to a minute. So it's definitely really good. And the other options here, I don't actually use these very much. Let's see if I can find them. We have Mask of the Third Man. Arc Blade attacks use less super energy. This would be the best option if you're building your Arc Blade for the super. And the other one that you have, there's another one. Hang on. Where are you? Oh, wait, I have the other one actually. Nope, that's Golden Gun. Hang on, I know that there's another one. Give me a second here. Alright, so actually, no, that's it. So, it's the Tarantella and Mask of the Third Man. So, we're going to go ahead and say Tarantella is the one that we're going to use. Now, like I said, there's two different ways that you can build this. You can build it for a good super, or you can build it for invisibility. This is the setup for a good super. Now, looking at our Arc Blade, you have Showstopper. Press right trigger during Arc Blade to damage nearby enemies. This does like a really high-powered spin, and you can kill a lot of low-tier enemies really quickly with this. You pair that with our Encore, and every time you kill an enemy with the Showstopper, then it refills your Arc Blade. So you can essentially have an unlimited Arc Blade if you have an unlimited amount of enemies coming in. So another thing that I pair this with, I pair it with Shadowjack, or you can pair it with Quick Draw, or you can pair it with Fleet-Footed. Now, me personally, I think that these two are pretty much wasted perks, so I always keep Shadowjack so that I can increase the duration of my visibility or invisibility effects. So even when I build it for Showstopper and Encore, I still have my invisibility here with Escape Artist on my melee, and if I'm using the Khepri Sting, then I also get that invisibility from crouching while still being able to build this for a super. Now, if I'm not building it for a super and I'm building it for invisibility only, then I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to put Stalker here, and then I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to put Vanish on. Now, typically, when I'm using Arc Blade, I'm using it because I want to be able to go invisible. So this is the ideal invisibility setup. So we have Vanish. You activate your super, you push right trigger, and you go invisible almost for the full duration of your super. And if you time it just right, when your super runs out and you gain back your color and everything, if you hit it again real fast, you can do this twice. It's really hard to get your timing down, but you can do it 2 times and pretty much just stay invisible for almost a full minute. It's really nice in nightfalls and raids when you have to go revive somebody. Another thing that I keep on is Escape Artist. I don't change this. I always keep the melee and enemy to go invisible. I don't use Backstab, and I don't use Fast Twitch. This is really more of a PvP thing. I feel like this is the best option for PvE, especially in in-game activities, where that invisibility is really going to come in handy. Shadowjack, like I said, I keep this on regardless of how I build my class. And over here we have Stalker, crouch for a short time and go invisible. What you can actually do here is if you have Khepri Sting, then you get the crouch to go invisible, so you can use something else. So you can use kills with Arc Blade and Blink Strike, immediately regenerate health. This one definitely comes in handy. Or you can use Encore, but Encore does not work as well if you're not using this. So this is my basic Bladedancer setup. The only other thing here is Flux Grenade. I prefer Flux over these other two. Arc Bolt Grenade is good if you pair it with like a Lucky Raspberry, so you can get that extra little bit of range for your chaining abilities. This really comes in handy in Challenge of Elders, but for the most part, I just stick with Flux Grenades. As far as the jump, actually, I don't know why it's on higher jump. Should be better control. If you use better control and you pair this with Bones of EAO, it's crazy, man. It's almost like Twilight Garrison. You can just lunge forward and go so fast when you jump. If you do your jumps like really quickly, it's really fun to use. So this is typically the one that I keep on here. But that is my basic setup for Bladedancer. So again, just to recap, if you're going for super, I use Showstopper and Encore. And if you're going for invisibility, then I use Stalker and Vanish. Typically, this is the one that I use. The only reason that it was set up for Showstopper and Encore is because I had a bounty for Arc Kills. And if you have a bounty for Arc Kills, Showstopper and Encore, Siege of the Warmind, you get it in no time. So that is my setup for Bladedancer. And like I said, ATS-8 Tarantella makes a significant reduction time on your super. So finishing things up here, we're going to go ahead and talk about Gunslinger. Now, Gunslinger is mainly a PvP subclass, but for stuff like Solar Burn, this actually is really, really good to use. Last week, there was the Blighted Chalice Nightfall with Solar Burn, and this is the class that I ran on my Hunter, and it was actually really fun. And again, you can pair it with Khepri Sting or Don't Touch Me, still get the invisibility effects here. And you can also pair it with this one. This is more of a PvP helmet. Golden Gun lasts longer, zooms in further when aimed. This is going to come in more handy in the Crucible, but we're not talking Crucible. So we're going to look at these other helmets here and see which ones work better. If it's Solar Burn and you want that extra little bit of oomph in your Golden Gun, Acleophage Symbiote, I always have to read that twice to make sure I pronounce it right. Golden Gun gains 1 additional shot. This is good for Solar Burn. And for the boss, I will put on this one, Celestial Nighthawk. Golden Gun fires 1 shot with 6 times damage. Now with this on, in Solar Burn, say for example on the Scion Flares for the Dust Palace Strike, this will one-shot a Scion Flare with Solar Burn. The Ultra. I kid you not. 1 shot, they're dead. It is really fun to use. The other options that you have for this class is increased Trip Mine Grenade duration and gain an additional Trip Mine Grenade charge. So these are really good for like Challenge of Elders if it's Grenade Challenge that week. This definitely comes in handy. You can also do gain an additional melee charge. This one works with any of them. I don't really care for this. I never use this. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Gunslinger setup. Now, for this class, I feel like there's multiple ways to set it up. You can set it up for either grenades, you can set it up for melees, or you can set it up for a super. So the way that I have it configured right now, we'll start down here actually. We have Gambler's Dagger, gain an additional throwing knife. Now, for Challenge of Elders, if it is a melee bonus, the throwing knives shine above everybody else. If you put on Gambler's Dagger here, and then you put on Knife Juggler, and then you go ahead and pair that with Scavenger. So just to recap, we have Gambler's Dagger, Scavenger, and Knife Juggler, you're going to have 2 throwing knives, and every precision kill that you get with that throwing knife automatically resets the cooldown of your throwing knife. So if you can consistently land those throwing knife headshots, you literally get unlimited throwing knives. And in the Challenge of Elders, a throwing knife not only counts as a melee, but you can also count as a precision kill. So you can get 100,000 points very easily with 2 or 3 hunters in the Challenge of Elders when it is a melee bonus week. Now, Scavenger is also really good for the throwing knife and the grenade builds, because picking up ammo reduces the cooldown of your grenade and throwing knife. So if you have something like Trickle On, where you're not getting your throwing knives and your melee and your grenade back fast, put on Scavenger, kill a couple enemies with your weapons, go pick up the ammo that they drop, and you can get your stuff back really quickly. So that's going to be the setup for if you're going to use this as a grenade and melee class. And now we're going to change it to a super class. So if we're not using that, I actually always keep this on, but sometimes I will put this on. Killing an enemy with throwing knife while Golden Gun is active extends the duration of Golden Gun. You still only get the 3 shots or 4 if you're using it, but this is good to have if you pop your super and all the enemies run away, which tends to happen sometimes in this game. Another option would be Incendiary Blade. Throwing knife catches enemies on fire doing additional damage over time. This one's really good for solar burn. But I still think Knife Juggler is going to be the best bet any way you look at it. No matter what the situation is, I would say that Knife Juggler is going to be your best option. So setting this up for a good super, you can use this. You can use Over the Horizon here, increase the range of Golden Gun. This is going to be good because you don't have to get right up on the enemies. In this tier, we have Scavenger, we have Keyhole, Golden Gun overpenetrates and can damage multiple targets, and then we have Gunslinger's Trance. Precision kills increase weapon stability, stacks up to 3 times. This one's pretty good for an all-around use, but if we're building this strictly for a super, we want to go ahead and put Keyhole on. These don't matter, you can set these up however. For the melee, like I said, we're sticking with Knife Juggler. For the super itself, I prefer to use Gunfighter. Reduce cooldown of Golden Gun, allowing it to be used more often. Now, if you're building this for a super, then this is without a doubt the one that you're going to want to use. And let's see, do I have my... Yeah, I do. So you can see that our cooldown time is 4 minutes. So when we put on Gunfighter here, it should take away about 20 seconds, similar to the Titans, Ward of Dawn, and Unstoppable. So it should get you your super back just a little bit quicker. Your other options are going to be Combustion, shooting an enemy with Golden Gun makes them explode, and Deadeye, significantly increased accuracy of Golden Gun. Now, I don't really care much for this because I've shot enemies with Golden Gun without this on, and I felt like I missed them, but in actuality I hit them. This one is pretty much like Firefly and your Golden Gun. I don't feel like it's really necessary. I would much rather be able to use my Golden Gun more often as opposed to maybe kill 1 or 2 low-level adds that are standing next to the enemy that I shoot. And lastly, we're going to take a look at our grenades. I prefer the Incendiary Grenade simply because Swarm Grenade kind of sucks. And Trip Mine Grenades, I always kill myself when I throw them. But if you're using the exotic armor that gives you an extra Trip Mine Grenade and increases duration, obviously you're going to want to use this one. Swarm Grenades, there's something. I feel like there's an exotic that gives you some kind of bonus with Swarm Grenades. I don't know. No, I'm thinking this one. I'm thinking Lucky Raspberry with Arc Bolt. Never mind. So Swarm Grenades, I just don't care for them. If you like them, then go for it. I just prefer the Flux Grenade. So that's the basic setup that I use for Gunslinger. So just to recap, if you're using Gunslinger for the melee and the grenades, then you want to set it up as Gambler's Dagger, Scavenger, and you want to keep these just like this. And if you're setting it up for a super, then you want to go Keyhole, you want to go Over the Horizon, and again, you want to keep these because these throwing knives are really fun to use. As far as the jump, if triple jump's an option with the Hunter, I always pick triple jump and I pair it with Bones of Yayo. But like I said a second ago with the Arc Blade subclass, if you have Bones of Yayo and put on Better Control, it's really fun. Like just try it and tell me it's not fun. You go lunging forward so fast. It's really fun to use. But anyway, guys, that's going to bring this video to an end. Drop a comment in the box below. Let me know how you set up your subclasses, and let me know if you've tried this method and what you think of it. So anyway, guys, that's going to bring this video to an end. If you enjoyed it, click like. If you're new to the channel, click subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, I fucking love you. Thank you for watching, and take care, guys.